Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a cozy budget my paycheck video where we're going to allocate the money from our most recent paychecks and kind of show you where the money's going. I love budgeting my paycheck because I find that the budget you set at the very beginning of the month is not always honestly super relevant by the end of the month. It's not super realistic by the end of the month. So I like that when we budget at the beginning of the month, and then I have these like budget my paycheck check-ins, if you will, that kind of help us to not stay on course with our budget, but maybe even adjust our budget a little bit, or try to push ourselves with saving and investing, or try to remind ourselves that maybe we should be spending a little bit less. So anyways, if you're new here, hi, my name's Alice. I love to chat about money and show you a little bit about my life. Wait, can you guys hear the rain? I don't think you can, but it is so cozy right now, and I'm just happier than I've ever been before in my entire life. Is that dramatic to say? I'm just so excited for fall. So if you're new here, or if you're not new here, I feel like things have changed recently, and I want to tell you guys about our financial situation because I believe context is everything when it comes to personal finance. So yeah, for some financial context, my husband and I have 100% combined finances. We have ever since we got married. Even with our separate 401ks through our own companies, we still treat it like my investment is your investment is my investment. Like, this is our family net worth and everything. So we also bought a new house 2 years ago. Yeah, we bought a new build 2 years ago for $450,000. We put 10% down. We have currently a 6.5% interest rate. We are hoping to refinance soon because the rates are going down, and I've seen some rates that are lower than the rates that we have right now. So that would be great. We're definitely looking to do that before the end of this year, which would be awesome. And then we don't have any children yet. We definitely want kids, but for right now we just have 2 cats. And then the big one is that we recently got over $17,000 of raises between me and my husband in the last month. So that has, not to be dramatic, but almost completely, I feel like, changed our financial situation. And with that, let's get into our income and let's break down our paychecks. Okay, I have the numbers here on my phone, and we're gonna go through and we're gonna break down our paychecks. Okay, let's start off with our income. So my husband and I, yes, we have combined finances, so our paychecks are really both of our money, and total we are taking home this pay period is $4,658.67. Now that is huge for us because literally earlier this year, like January, February, March, maybe even April, we were bringing home each pay period about $3,200. So we're bringing home $1,400 more a pay period. That has just absolutely changed our finances, because if you're someone who budgets every single dollar, even making an extra $100 a pay period can make a difference. Okay, and we also have some rollover from the last month that we purposely didn't spend because we know that we are gonna have a pretty big purchase coming up in these next 2 weeks, and we needed some extra money for that. So we have $500 of rollover, and that means our total that we're working with for this pay period is $5,185.67. Okay, let's start off with bills. So our bills, what's gonna come out in the next 2 weeks is internet, $65, electricity, which is $15, because you guys, it is like that sweet spot in the year where it's like 65, 70 outside, and so we don't really have to heat or cool our house, which is super convenient. Our car insurance is $138, and then our water and trash is $118. So those are the bills coming out these 2 pay periods. I do feel like we have a lot more like higher bills come out towards the end of the month, so that again is why these 2 paychecks are really for saving and investing, and the end of the month is really for like the non-fun stuff, which is like mortgage and bills and more expenses. Okay, for our expenses, I'm gonna put $200 towards groceries because we pretty much do about $100 a week when it comes to groceries, and I really do wish that we like went grocery shopping once a week, but our food just lasts much longer than that, so we go like once every like 10 days. It usually will be like we spend $0 one week on groceries and then like $200 the next week. It really doesn't always match up pretty well, but I'm just gonna put $200 out of our grocery budget. For tithing, we pay 10% of tithing to our church, 10% of our income, and that'll be $468.57. Giving and donating has always been a huge part of my financial strategy. I love finances, I love investing, but I can't even imagine a world in which I'm not donating at least a little bit, and it's really important to me. It really works for us. I find that if we live off of only 90% of what we make, we'll never live off of 110% of what we make. So that's what works for us. I think that everyone should find what works best for them. For gas, I'm gonna budget $140. That would be enough for me to fill up my car once, and then my husband to fill up his car twice. So we do have one car that's really gas efficient, It's our Honda Accord, and then we have a Chevy Traverse, which is not gas efficient, but I live super close to where I work, and I only go in 3 times a week. And then my husband, we live kind of far away from where he works. It takes him about 45-50 minutes to get there, but he only goes in a few times a week too. So we try to keep the gas for our car low by always taking the Honda every chance that we can get, because it's so much more gas efficient. So within 1 month, we might only fill up the Traverse once, but then we're filling up the Honda like 4 or 5 times. So it works for us to keep our gas bill down, because personally for me, and I'm sure it's how a lot of people feel too, but when it comes to like buying clothes, I'm like, ooh, I want to buy that dress for $60. That will make me so happy. But the idea of spending gas on my car that's $60 like doesn't make me happy. It makes me frustrated. So I personally do like to keep the gas bill down for our cars. For car maintenance, I put $60 because I'm almost positive I'm gonna need an oil change. But the thing is like we like rarely drive my car. I drive it 3 days a week, and it's only like 30 minutes at a time total. So I'm interested to see if we even end up getting it. We do get our oil changes every 3,000 miles just because I am someone who wants to keep my car forever until it literally says dead. We had this Dodge Grand Caravan white minivan with the most comfortable seats ever. It was so crusty looking, but it was so comfortable. And my family drove it for so long that it literally, like, someone programmed the car to say done on the dashboard when it died. Like, it was done. It had to be literally towed out of our garage. And that's kind of how I like to view cars. For personal spending, I think $25 because I want eyebrow mascara, and then I want more face sunscreen. I am a huge sunscreen person. I wear sunscreen if I never leave the house. I wear sunscreen. It's cloud cover in the dead of winter. I'll wear sunscreen, and I really want to try to find like a rolling stick sunscreen. It'd be easier to like sunscreen my neck and my chest. Okay, and then miscellaneous. We always budget $350 a month for unexpected / miscellaneous, and it's hard to be like, in the next 2 weeks I'm gonna spend $175 on unexpected. You don't know it's unexpected, but I'm just gonna put half of our money towards that. Okay, so now we're on to guilt-free spending. Now, personally, I'm someone who has struggled with the scarcity mindset for a long time. I got my first job when I was 16, and I definitely was like having a great time taking the money that I earned from Panda Express, which was my first job. But you guys, I worked at Panda Express, and it's still one of my favorite places to eat. We went there last night. It's so freaking good. And that's how you know the food is made well, because it didn't gross me out at all. It's just chicken and sauce, you guys. That's literally it. I mean, it's breaded chicken. That's why it's good. But I feel like guilt-free spending for me, we changed it. It used to be like a lump sum amount of guilt-free spending. We'd be like, okay, we have $150 to spend on guilt-free spending, or $200 to spend on whatever we want. And we found that when we did that, it made it seem like if I went and bought a shirt, it took away money for him to play golf. And if he went to play golf, then it took away money for me to go out with my friends. So now we really separate the guilt-free spending into different categories, because then it's like, when he goes and plays golf, like, that's his golf money. If he doesn't use it, like, it's not going towards anything else. So let's get into what we have for guilt-free spending for the next 2 weeks. So I have $50 to play golf. I don't know, this weather's not really golf weather, but hopefully it kind of at least doesn't rain. Okay, and then here is the big purchase I was talking about. So I have an iPhone 11 with a ratchet case, but I love this case. It was my mom's. It's got this little thing. Obsessed. Sometimes my phone, how do I say this? It just like doesn't turn on sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I guess my phone / the universe / God is telling me to have some phone free time. But anyways, so we decided to go for it and get me an iPhone 17 Pro, which with my trade-in value, it's gonna be about $950, and we just wanna pay for that out of pocket. At first, I was going to do the payment plan, and it was going to be this huge like mental thing, emotional, like money, relationship opportunity for me, where like I have the opportunity to change my relationship with money and say, you know what, having a payment on a phone is less than ideal when it comes to perfect money spending, but also I need to remember that like life isn't perfect, and it's okay to sometimes do these kind of things if it's a calculated risk. And like I talked to my parents about it and everything, like, but yeah, so I got all ready for it, and then I realized that in order for me to get the deal through our provider, I have to buy it through my dad, and I don't want to have to Venmo him $40 every month and then he pay the plan off. So I was like, you know, we're just gonna pay you the lump sum once it ships. So that will be $950. Okay, for travel, we are gonna buy plane tickets for Oregon, and that should cost around $250. Okay, for home, I did budget $25. I love the idea of getting a bale of hay. I have no idea how much a bale of hay costs, but I want to decorate our porch as part of my monthly goals. Okay, for dates, I'm gonna put aside $85 from these paychecks for dates. Okay, I actually had this question. I'm dying to know what you think. In Utah, you can have like dinner and an activity outside the house for less than $50. Is it like that everywhere? Me and my husband last month literally went and got dinner at a fast casual dining place, so we weren't being waited on, but it was still really good food. So we went and got dinner, and then we went to an arcade, and it only cost $40. Like, is that normal? Is that however it is for everyone else, or is that just like a Utah thing? Because I just feel like it's so cheap to have fun here. So anyways, I'm putting away $85 for a date this month, and I definitely want to do something like Halloween themed, so we'll see what I come up with. Alrighty, moving on to the fun part, which is saving and investing. So this is all lumped together in our budget spreadsheet because in reality, investing is like saving, but saving for the future. So for the emergency fund, we're gonna put away $1,000, and that will help us to get our emergency fund up to $18,000 by the end of the year. It's crazy. Once we put that $1,000 in, we'll be at $16,000. And I feel like that is such a testament to just kind of putting money aside, even if you feel like it's not going to amount to anything, because then one day you'll wake up and you'll have the money that you want to have in savings to feel secure in your situation. Now, I already do feel pretty good about our emergency fund. It's at $15,000 right now. That is about 3 months. Ideally, I would like it to be at 6 months, which is our goal for the end of next year. But I just feel like we were never going to make it. Like, we were never going to have that big of an emergency fund. And I have full faith that we will have a fully funded 6-month emergency fund at $30,000 by the end of 2026. Even if it feels like such a huge goal, but I really feel like we're experiencing the payoff right now. We're super close to our goal, and we just put $1,000 a month towards it, which is definitely, it was a stretch for us at the beginning, but now we're getting more comfortable with it. And I'm very excited to have our emergency fund that high. Okay, for our Roth IRA, normally we invest $100 a week. That's just how the company we go through does it. It's kind of weird that it doesn't do it like monthly. It literally only does it weekly. And so we want to put the $200 for the next 2 weeks into our Roth IRA, but also because I'm new at my company, I cannot invest for the first 90 days. We don't want to take a break from investing in our normal amount. So we're gonna try to put extra towards our Roth IRA, and we wanna put an extra $1,000. So for these next 2 paychecks, we're gonna invest $1,200 towards our Roth IRA. Okay, for our car, we're gonna put $50 towards the car sinking fund. Now this is mostly for maintenance. I don't expect us to be buying a car with our car sinking fund. If we ever were like, yes, we need to buy a car, then we would really be putting a lot of money towards that. Cars are really expensive these days. I'm a huge believer in sinking funds. I wasn't really into them at the beginning of the year, but we've already seen the benefits of them, even not having that much money in our sinking fund. For example, our plane tickets, we only had like $150 in the travel fund, but even that helps with tickets. And then for our girls, I was gonna say invest $25. For our girls, we always put away $25 a month for them just to cover some medical bills. Again, if we had a $400 medical bill for one of them, we have a couple $100 in their fund. It just doesn't sting as much when you have to pay that. So right now we have $100 in the cat sinking fund. And then for celebrations, this is another automated sinking fund. We're gonna put $100 towards that. And I think that'll bring up our celebration sinking fund to over $1,000, which will be great for Christmas. Okay, and for the leftover for these 2 paychecks, rolling into the next 2 paychecks is $46.10. So that is the total amount that we have left over after all of the spending. Now that is much lower than we normally have rolling into the next paychecks, because the next paychecks do cover our mortgage, and because our mortgage is quite high-ish. I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where $3,000 is not a ton of money to me. So our mortgage does feel quite high, and I usually like to have rollover going into that so that it feels less intense at the end of the month. But because our paychecks are so much higher now than they used to be, I just feel more confident going into the last part of this month and knowing that we have enough money to cover our bills, cover our mortgage, and then some, have some guilt-free fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Budget My Paycheck video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye!